She had the national spotlight on her and on Michigan. From the roads to lake levels to a slew of environmental problems, Michigan has its hands full. Governor Gretchen Whitmer is here to talk about all of it. And should the primary states be shuffled so Michigan votes sooner? Congresswoman Debbie Dingell thinks so. Today is Sunday, February 23rd, 2020, and this is Flashpoint. Hi, welcome to Flashpoint. Good to have you with us. It was another busy political week on the national scene, from that vigorous and at times nasty Democratic debate Wednesday night to the sentencing of Roger Stone on Thursday. But this morning, we're once again going to set aside the national view for one that is dialed in on our fair peninsulas. Those peninsulas are filled with challenges for Governor Whitmer, especially the highways and byways that traverse them. Fixing the roads was, of course, Gretchen Whitmer's campaign centerpiece. And after no-fault reform, there seemed to be promise for partnerships between the governor's office and the legislature. That relationship now seems quite fractured, and the governor's trying to go around them to fix the roads with bonds. But that's just one concern, though perhaps the biggest. She's also got a long list of environmental worries, rising lake levels that are putting big chunks of Michigan right into the water. She's also still facing criticism for her budget tactics. Some felt they were leaving some very vulnerable Michiganders in peril so that she could make a point. But she also had a very high-profile moment and pretty strong reviews in delivering the Democratic response to the State of the Union address, highlighting Michigan's electoral importance this year, perhaps her own as well. Governor Whitmer is here this morning to talk about all of that. And are we doing primaries the right way, especially when it comes to Michigan? Congresswoman Debbie Dingell calling again for change. She's here too, all today on Flashpoint. Well, you have seen a lot of the governor lately, her State of the State address, the unveiling of her budget, and of course, delivering the Democratic response to the State of the Union address. And now this morning, you're going to see a little more of her because she's back with us on Flashpoint. Governor, thank you very much for being here. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
You were a regular on this program for a while back in your previous life. And I want to take you a little bit back to a previous life, at least it feels that way. This was the picture from the porch of the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island at the conference. This is last May. This is you and what felt like the entire state legislature, along with Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist. Everybody here, it was such this moment of ecumenicalism, everybody coming together over no-fault reform. And I think you all even talked about the promise that it held for working together. What's happened?
Well, you know, I think that it was a great moment. I think we will bear the fruit of the work that was done this summer when everything kicks into gear. You know, obviously, since then, my hope was that we would transition from Mackinac Island around no fault to fixing the dam roads. That was the representation everyone made publicly at that bill signing. And yet, you know, I never got any sort of a reaction out of the legislature in terms of an alternative to the solution that I put on the table.
There have been reactions from the legislature,
but not a serious alternative or a counter offer. You know, I led with a gas tax. It was not easy to do. It was not fun to lead. But I did what I said I was going to do when I ran. We are going to fix the dam roads. And I put a solution on the table, and the legislature never got serious about either debating the merits of mine or putting an alternative of their own on the table.
You can see a kind of a test that this would be for conservatives to be told that we're going to vote for the highest gas tax in the country. That's almost just against their fiber, their being, and how they got elected. You can see why that might not be the answer to them, can't you?
Oh, sure. But you know what? I can also see that they're out there saying that the roads are the #1 issue, and they want to solve it, and so get serious by putting an alternative on the table, and they never did that. And I think that's the frustration that people across our state have when government breaks down that way, when people don't really come to the table and they're given these leadership roles and these important responsibilities, and they don't come forward with some serious alternatives. And that's what I was always hoping that the legislature would do.
Well, it's broken down all right. We devolved from that picture into quite a bit of name calling that's been going on back and forth to the point now where you basically are saying you don't need the legislature. And I found myself, when I heard you kind of alluding to that, wondering how Minority Leader Gretchen Whitmer would have reacted to a governor saying, I don't need you, I'm going around you.
Well, let me say a couple things on that. name calling going back and forth is not accurate. Names have been hurled my way, but I don't respond in kind. Number two, when it comes to, working with the legislature, I've never said that they don't matter. They do. We still need a long-term funding solution for our roads. But we cannot wait for that to happen. We have to start moving dirt right now, starting to bend the curve on deterioration. So bonding actually is a really thoughtful and wise way of financing some of these long-term projects. And people in Southeast Michigan are going to see a lot of work getting done starting this year, and we have to get started.
There's no getting around, though, that it's debt without a way to necessarily pay for it, correct?
So it is a responsible mechanism for starting to move some dirt now. I do need the legislature to come to the table with a serious funding option so that we can not just fix trunk lines, but can fix local roads as well. That's on them, but I'm not waiting to get started.
Every time I host a conversation on this program about the roads, I am deluged by emails from people who say that the clear problem in Michigan is that we have the highest weight limit for trucks. 164,000 pounds is the highest by far, in some cases across the country, and that we are not going after the people properly who are really causing all the damage on our roads.
I recognize that our weight limits are an issue, and I've said regularly, let's work on that. But that is not the sole problem that we have as a state. We have underfunded our roads for decades in Michigan. We've been putting temporary patches or layers over roads that really should have been reconstructed. And now it's so bad that just this week, a woman was driving in the Lansing area and a chunk of a bridge came through her windshield and hit her in the face. This is what we're really dealing with, and this is decades of underfunding. And so just changing weight limits isn't going to change the fact that we have underfunded for decades, and that's why it's going to take revenue to fix the problem.
The tactic that you're taking, while it moves you around the legislature, though, it does leave a lot of folks in rural Michigan feeling like they're being left out, that their roads need help too, and because of the way that this is constructed, you can really only handle, it seems to be largely urban area roads with this plan.
Well, the fact of the matter is, when we go through bonding, I can only, use those dollars on state trunk lines.
Right.
I can't fix the local problem. And I was very clear about that in the State of the State and in the budget, that this is not a funding solution. This is financing so that we can mend the roads that are the most heavily trafficked, that impact the most Michiganders, and that are in the worst conditions. And that's why you'll see 275 and I-96 as a part of the initial wave. That road that the chunk of the bridge came out, that is in the bonding plan as well. So we are going to do what I can unilaterally, but ultimately, anyone who's unhappy about their local roads needs to tell their legislature to get serious and put a plan out.
This leads us quite nicely into the problem that we have with what's going on with our lake levels. We also, Lord knows where this is going for roads. We're watching up in the thumb as some roads are now degrading because the water is taking the road out from underneath them. Do we think we have a really good understanding of what these rising lake levels are doing to the state and how many millions and millions of dollars this is costing us?
Well, not just in roads, but also in combined sewer operations, also in shoreline erosion, in tourism.
And of course, private property that's being washed away.
I was in Bay County not long ago, and Joe Rivet, who is the Bay County Drain Commissioner, said they anticipate having 75 square miles of land that is usually farmable and livable underwater this year. And these 1 in 100-year events are happening annually. So we have to acknowledge that climate change is real, that the globe continues to heat. We didn't have a thorough freeze this winter, which means we are absolutely saturated and water is nowhere to go. And as we see, all of these different challenges, the roads are impacted as well. And so this is going to be an incredible challenge for us as a state, and that's why in the budget that I promoted, we are focusing on trying to help local communities meet these needs, but there's only so much we can do as state government.
You put forward $64 million for environmental initiatives, and we clearly have a lot. We're watching this deluge of environmental problems that have broken out, many of them in Southeast Michigan along the Detroit River, up the green ooze problem that we've seen. And I think there's an awful lot of confusion as to exactly who's supposed to be carrying the ball here. Eagle sometimes points at the EPA sometimes points at Eagle. Do we have a handle on who's in charge? Where does the buck stop?
I'd say, I mean, we all have a responsibility here. There's no question. And for the last 8 years, the EPA and DEQ, which was Eagle before it became Eagle, had a very contentious relationship. And now we are really trying to mend that ugly past and try to make sure that we're all rowing in the same.
As an emailer said to me, though, recently, new name, same lousy agency.
Well, that's not, I don't think that's fair, because the people at Eagle are incredibly hardworking. They are doing what they can with the resources that they have. But I want to highlight
That's the better
something.
problem.
The legislature right now is debating a bill that takes money, it's the bottle bill, and it takes money from our ability to react to emergencies like green news. So while everyone is upset about the green news, and legitimately so, and this is decades in the making, it spans more than one administration, to be sure.
Thank goodness the ooze showed up, or we wouldn't
have been able to know that it was there, much less addressing it. But the legislature right now is moving legislation that takes money out of our ability to have quick response. We actually need to be putting more resources into our ability to do that, and they're trying to starve it, which just makes this problem that much worse.
Got to get to a break. Got a lot more we want to talk about. We'll continue our conversation with Governor Gretchen Whitmer on Flashpoint on Local 4.